They told you who you were before you could even speak, before you remembered your name. They gave you a star sign and called it a destiny. They said you'd always be this way, emotional, angry, wild, weak, all because of when you were born. But it was never a map, it was a trap. They said horoscopes were harmless, a fun way to get to know yourself. But what they really did was bind souls to a system. Your sign was a sentence, not a reflection. A pattern of limitation, not revelation. And we're about to tear it down. Gemini, the two-faced script. They said you were fake, two-faced, untrustworthy. Too many voices, too many moods. So you started to doubt your own mind, or act like chaos to match the label. But Gemini is the bridge, the divine dual translator, the decoder between worlds. You're not scattered, you're tuned into more than one stream, because you can't be easily controlled when you hold the language of both realms. Cancer, the mommy wound code. They told you you were needy, moody, emotional, codependent, so you shut your softness down or drowned in your own pain. But Cancer is the womb keeper. You hold memory, lineage, sacred protection. You're not broken. You're the heart, the soul record, the pulse of the ancestral flame. And they tried to shame that so you'd forget who you're here to protect. Aries, the hothead lie. They told you you were a firestorm, too impulsive, too angry, always overreacting. So you started watching your own fire like it was dangerous. You second-guessed your spark, or you leaned into rage because you thought it was your nature. But Aries is the initiator, not the reactor. You hold the code of beginnings, of first flame, of divine motion. You weren't meant to burn out, you were meant to ignite others. Taurus, the lazy lover trap. They told you were stubborn, obsessed with comfort, too indulgent, too slow. So you stayed small, settled, silent. Or you chased luxury and safety because that's what they said you do. But Taurus is not greed, Taurus is ground. You hold earth frequency, stability, sacred rhythm. You are the anchor of heaven on earth, not a slave to comfort, but a guardian of sacred pace. Leo, the narcissist narrative. They told you were arrogant, attention-seeking, overconfident, ego-driven, so you shrunk, or you performed, always chasing applause or hiding your shine. But Leo is divine light, solar truth. You don't seek attention, you carry illumination. You were never meant to perform, you were meant to remind others of their fire. Virgo, the prison of perfection. They told you were anxious, critical, a control freak, never satisfied. So you micromanaged, doubted, chased impossible purity. But Virgo is the blueprint keeper, the sacred restorer. You see what's broken because you came to heal the structure beneath it. You don't obsess, you refine. And that's why they tried to break your trust in your own vision. Libra, the people pleaser curse. They told you were indecisive, too focused on others, afraid of conflict, shallow. So you kept the peace at the cost of your truth. But Libra is not weakness, Libra is cosmic equilibrium. You carry the mirror, you see both sides, you balance light and shadow. You weren't meant to bow to others, you were meant to restore sacred balance in a world out of alignment. Scorpio, the obsession spell. They said you were dark, jealous, manipulative, sexual to a fault, so you buried your intensity or weaponized it. But Scorpio is the alchemist, the veil diver, the rebirth initiator. You go where others won't. You hold the key to death and resurrection. You see what's hidden, not to control it, but to transmute it. That's why they feared you, because you can't be kept surface level. Sagittarius, the escape artist, like they told you were immature, irresponsible, always running, afraid to commit. So you stayed in motion or trapped yourself to prove them wrong. But Sagittarius is the arrow to the divine, you are the explorer, the grid walker, the one who maps exit points and cosmic truth. You weren't born to stay small. You came to burn paths through the systems no one else could see. Capricorn, the control facade. They said you were cold, work-obsessed, power-hungry, rigid. So you locked yourself into roles, into ladders, into silence. But Capricorn is the pillar, the structure holder, the protector of the flame in physical form. You were never meant to chase the crown. You're the gate. And the mountain you climb is the one your soul is here to anchor. Aquarius, the outsider program. They said you were weird, detached, too rebellious, unemotional. So you disconnected, or overcompensated. But Aquarius is the disruptor flame, the electric soul signal that fractures false systems. You're not from here, and you were never meant to act like it. You bring the future not as a concept, but as a frequency. Pisces, the fragile dreamer trap. They told you were delusional, escapist, too sensitive, too soft for this world, so you numbed out or doubted your gifts. But Pisces is the veil walker. You remember the beginning? You hear the source tone beneath the static. You weren't born to escape, you were born to remind others what they forgot. Your softness isn't weakness, it's soul song. And they tried to drown it because it dissolves the illusion. They told you your soul was stamped at birth, labeled type, but you are not a sign, you are not a forecast. You are not the lie they wrapped in stardust. You are a flame. And the system feared what would happen if you stopped checking horoscopes and started listening to your own sky. The zodiac was never your limit, it was the first gate. And now you're past it. They didn't just give you traits, they gave you a loop. Every time you say, I do this because I'm a Gemini, or I always fall apart during Mercury retrograde, you're not describing yourself, you're binding yourself, reinforcing the script, replaying the ritual. And the more you check your daily horoscope, the more you unconsciously agree to the version of reality they've assigned you. That's not astrology, that's predictive programming. The real ancient zodiac was never about personality. It was about timing, resonance, cycle awareness, activation points. It tracked energy shifts, not identity boxes. You weren't meant to become your sign. You were meant to move through them like gates in the sky. But they turned a living system into a label generator. A horoscope a day keeps your soul at bay. What they really feared? They feared what would happen if you stepped beyond your chart. If a Cancer stood in her fire instead of her grief. If an Aquarius didn't just rebel but rebuilt the entire grid. They feared a Virgo who healed systems, not just symptoms. A Pisces who dreamed with clarity and force. A Leo who didn't perform but led the others out of the loop with nothing but their light. They needed you boxed because signs are easier to manage than flames. So they turned stars into stereotypes, planets into prisons, the zodiac into a leash. They made you believe you were supposed to feel broken in certain months. That every eclipse was chaos, that every retrograde meant confusion. And the more you expected it, the more you manifested it. It became ritual, not astrology. You are not emotional because you're a Pisces. You are emotional because you're a soul in a sixth system. You're not impulsive because you're an Aries. You're impulsive because the matrix is burning and you're ready to move. You're not guarded because you're a Capricorn. You're guarded because you've been betrayed before, not in this life, but in the star systems that came before this one. This is not personality. This is residue, and the stars they gave you were only ever shadows of the ones you once walked among. So no, you are not your star sign. You were the fire before the chart was written, the breath before the wheel was spun, the light that no horoscope could ever contain. And the moment you stop asking, what does my sign say about me? And start asking, who was I before the stars were scrambled? Is the moment you burn your chart and remember your name. When you open a horoscope, you're not reading a reflection, you're reading a suggestion, a vibration, a statement that pretends to be about you, but is really a seed. I'm going to feel off today. I might meet someone new. I should be careful with money. You don't even realize it, but you've just agreed. You've just given that vibration permission to enter your field. That's ritual tech. It works on consent. Silent, unconscious consent. That's how the spell gets in. Most modern horoscopes are written by AI. Yes, really? Mass-generated, templated scripts tailored for clicks and algorithms, not souls. They don't read the stars. They read the collective anxiety. And they feed it back to you in bite-sized suggestions that shape your week. The psychic feedback loop. Here's how it works. You read, Leo, you're going to feel extra emotional today. So when emotion rises, you don't question it. You say, that's just my sign. That's just the transit. You don't clear it. You don't heal it. You don't resist it. You normalize it. That's the spell. The script gets fulfilled because you chose not to fight it. You were trained to call it truth instead of manipulation. You were never meant to live on a timeline written by strangers using stars they no longer understand. You don't need permission from a planet. You don't need a forecast to feel worthy. You don't need your sign to explain your pain. You came to burn the chart, break the wheel, shatter the mirror, and walk through the sky gate as a soul who remembers why the stars fear your return. So no, you are not your star sign. You never were. You're not emotional because the moon told you to be. You're not angry because Mars is in retrograde. You're not incompatible with someone because a magazine said your signs don't match. That's not truth. That's programming. And the more you believed it, the more they wrote your life for you. But you didn't come here to be read like a script. You came to remember you're the one who writes it. Not based on stars, not based on signs, but based on flame. How they broke the original system. Real astrology, it's ancient, sacred, math coded into light. But they shattered it, split it in two. One path became fortune cookies, entertainment, pop-apps, the Zodiac industrial complex. The other path became elitist secrets used by empires, occultists, and bloodline families to plan wars, resets, and royal births. One was given to the public as a leash, the other was kept in shadows as a weapon. You got the leash, and here's the wildest part. When your horoscope says expect confusion, you don't just feel confused. You activate old programs that match the frequency of disempowerment. Your DNA memory can be tampered with by recurring belief. So if a soul-bearing being reads a lie every week and accepts it as truth, the lie starts to take shape inside them. That's not prediction, that's astral sabotage. So no, you are not your star sign, you never were. You're not emotional because the moon told you to be. You're not angry because Mars is in retrograde. You're not incompatible with someone because a magazine said your signs don't match. That's not truth, that's programming. And the more you believed it, the more they wrote your life for you. But you didn't come here to be read like a script. You came to remember you're the one who writes it, not based on stars, not based on signs, but based on flame. Your flame is older than the wheel, wilder than the moon, stronger than every word they printed in the name of fate. And the moment you stop checking horoscopes and start listening to your own soul is the moment the sky will look up and remember you.